හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 6th of January 2024. Development Drive. President Ranil Wickremesinghe calls on religious leaders in the north to support in establishing religious harmony. Measles fight. The first phase of the MMR supplementary immunization program commenced in selected districts. Security upped. Automated facial recognition system installed at BIA to nab criminals. Bar Association meanwhile raises concerns over extrajudicial killings and arbitrary arrests. Hostage crisis. Myanmar government agrees to help release 56 Sri Lankans held hostage by a group of terrorists.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟම ඇති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
නියම මෝල්ට් සාරය සමග මැලිබන් මෝල්ට් දැන් රුපියල් 750ක් පමණයි.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and a warm welcome to today's edition of AdaDerana's English News First at 9 and a blessed rainy Saturday evening to you. Starting with our top stories for the evening, I'm Jonathan Benedict, by the way. The Ministry of Health commenced the first phase of the MMR supplementary immunization program covering 9 districts today. Accordingly, infants of 6 to 9 months of age were given the measles, mumps and rubella vaccination under the guidance and support of UNICEF and the World Health Organization. Emphasizing the urgency of vaccinating infants in Sri Lanka, the Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Haritha Alutge, says that it is a national responsibility to vaccinate infants, disregarding all unscientific opinions on the matter.
The Ministry of Health launched the first phase of the MMR supplementary immunization program today across 9 selected districts of Colombo, including Colombo and the Colombo Municipal Council area, Gampaha, Kalutara, Galle, Mathura, Kandy, Jaffna, Kurunegala and Kalmune. The MMR supplementary immunization program, which provides an additional dosage of the MMR vaccine, is primarily targeted at children between the ages of 6 and 9 months. In Colombo, at the New Bazaar Maternity Home, where the vaccines were administered to infants within the Colombo Municipal Council's jurisdiction today, a large number of infants were seen with their parents to get the jab.
මේ ලබා දෙන්නේ කාලාන්තරයක් තිස්සේ දන්න ත්‍රිත්ව එන්නත. ඒතකොට මේ සරම්ප රෝගයට වගේම කම්බුල් ගායටත් ඒ වගේම ඊටාම භයානක ජේෂම ගර්භණී කාලයේදී හැදුනොත් ඊටාම භයානක තත්ත්වයන් ඇති විය හැකි උපදින දරුවන් සංජානීය ආබාධ වලට පත් විය හැකි ජර්මන් සරම්ප රෝගයට විරුද්ධවත් මේදී ඒ ආරක්ෂාව ඔබගේ දරුවන්ට ලබා දෙනවා.
In the meantime, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Palitha Mahipala, inspected several clinics in Colombo where the MMR vaccines were administered. Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardana, meanwhile, inspected the vaccination drive in Kolonava.
මගේ එකම ඉල්ලීම සියලුම දෙමව්පියන්ට මාස 6ත් 9ත් අතර දරුවන්ට දෙන අමතර මාත්‍රාවක් මේක ලබා ගන්න.
In the meantime, the UNICEF country representative Christian Skoog visited the Jayala MOH office central clinic to observe the supplementary measles immunization program. The UNICEF and the WHO are also providing support to the Ministry of Health to accelerate the vaccination drive.
UNICEF has been a proud partner of the Sri Lanka immunization program for many, many years, decades, and we're pleased that it is one of the most successful in the world. Highest coverage rates, effective when there is a supplementary activity or a campaign. We have recently, post-COVID and the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, made sure that the cold chain is really 100% to make sure that high-quality vaccines get into the bodies of the child. So we're here supporting this activity, hoping and trusting that it will be a success and make sure that every child is protected against measles and can grow up as a healthy boy or girl and thrive in his or her life.
Meanwhile, the epidemiology unit noted that those who are eligible for the supplementary immunization program in the selected high-risk districts but miss the opportunity due to a justifiable reason, such as a contraindication, will be given an additional opportunity to get the vaccine at the MOH office central clinics on the 13th, 20th and 27th of January. According to the Health Ministry, Sri Lanka had to commence the vaccination drive against measles due to a rise in measles cases triggered by a significant drop in immunization coverage from 2020 to 2022. Through this vaccination program, Sri Lanka aims to make the island measles-free once again.
මිත්‍යා විශ්වාස ආගමික ඇදහිලිත් එක්ක සමාජයේ යම් යම් කොටස් අතර මේ එන්නත් ලබාගත යුතු නැහැයි කියලා කාලයක් තිස්සේ තිබිච්ච ඒවා පහුගිය කාලය තුල මේ මිත්‍යා විශ්වාස වැඩිවීමක් සිද්ධ වෙලා තිනවා. මෙන්න මේ කියන කාරණාත් එක්ක තමයි අද දවසේ නැවත සරම්ප හිස ඔසවන තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අනුමාන කරනවා වසංගත රෝග විද්‍යාංශය සරම්ප ලබාගත යුතු වයසේ ඉන්න නමුත් සරම්ප එන්නත ලබා නොගත් දරුවෝ 7500කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් සමාජය තුල සැරිසරනවා කියලා. අද මිලියන 22ක ජනගහනයක් අවදානමට ලක් කරලා තියෙනවා මේ කුඩා සංඛ්‍යාව 7500ක් වගේ ප්‍රමාණය. ඒ නිසා මේ මොහොතේ තියෙන ජාතික වගකීමක් තමයි තමන්ගේ දරුවා මේ වයස් කාණ්ඩේ ඉන්නවනම් මේ දිස්ත්‍රික්ක 9 ඇතුළත ඒ දරුවාව මේ එන්නත් කරන මධ්‍යස්ථානයට අරන් ගිහිල්ලා ලබා දෙන්න.
Highlighting the importance of religious harmony as the country gradually makes its way out of the economic crisis, President Ranil Wickremesinghe called on the religious leaders in the north to support the president's efforts to rebuild the country by establishing religious harmony. He made this request during a meeting with all religious leaders of the northern province held at the Jaffna district secretariat. During another meeting with industrialists in Jaffna, President Wickremesinghe directed officials to expedite the establishment of a provincial business promotion centre in the northern province. Further, President Wickremesinghe announced that comprehensive solutions will be offered to address the challenges encountered by businessmen in the northern province within the next 2 months.
A meeting with all religious leaders of the northern province was held at the Jaffna district secretariat this morning under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Ministry of Religious Affairs and Buddhism, so that the Buddhist department, the Christian department, Hindu department and Islam department have come under one ministry. Now the cry in Sri Lanka is reduce the number of ministers. So that's why we thought that we should have advisory councils for each of these religious departments that can act without having to depend on the director itself. So that's an issue we can take up and talk with the religious authorities to have advisory committees in every religious department. Of course, Hinduism has been the oldest religion. We all acknowledge that. There is no issue, and Hinduism has been in Sri Lanka. Now you have to remember that it is also protected. So let's all get together and work. But if there's injustice being done to any religion, let me know. Then we will take the necessary steps. ආණ්ඩුව හැටියට අපිත් තව කොටසක් තියෙනවා. ආණ්ඩුව හමුදාව යටතේ තියෙන ප්‍රදේශවල තියෙන කෝවිල් හා පල්ලි පිළිබඳ. ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙත් අපි විසඳන්න ඉන්නේ මේ කාලය තුලදී. ඒව කඩා වැටලා තියෙනවා යලිත් ආපහු සකස් කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ ආණ්ඩුව ලෑස්ති හින්දු පූජකතුමන්ලා එක්ක කතා කරලා නල්ලූර් කෝවිල බාරකාරයෝ සමග කතා කරලා අපිම අපේ වියදමින් විශාල කෝවිලක් හදන්න යාපනයි. ඒක මම තීරණය කරන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ තීරණය කරලා කියන්න. ඒ අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම පියවර.
Later, the president held discussions with industrialists, fishermen and farmers of the Jaffna district.
Changing the rules, all enterprises with an annual turnover billion rupees or less will come under the provincial council. So that all those industries, businesses which have a turnover less than 1 billion rupees a year will have to be handled by the provincial council. Now we are going into 1 billion turnover for the provincial council. So I will also set up northern province business promotions. I think the chief secretary and the district secretaries, have you got industrial officers? No. Put them all to work instead of staying in the office and find out the problems and have it ready. You name an officer so they can go and discuss their issues. Some people on fisheries, one man, someone others. Then we know that. And when the team comes, we will do some work.
Meanwhile, the president chaired another discussion with the academic staff of the Jaffna University at the Jaffna district secretariat.
Redesign the university to be a very well one going on to technology and others. Your arts faculty also will need help, but also introduce in different ways that everyone learn English. I want all the universities in the next 2 years to ensure that they learn English. Do you have diaspora retired people who want to come? So if they come, what is it that they expect? But look at a scheme where we can get diaspora people to come here, or even foreign lecturers who are willing, and if there's some additional payment other than their ticket, and okay, we'll give them something for their transport, the university can provide. No, we can do that. Can you get other non-diaspora lecturers to come? May not be ex-Sri Lankan. We have to get outside lecturers to work for some time, 2-3 years. So Jaffna can start, then we can get Colombo and Moratu and others to follow. You can also have an agreement with another university where they will even provide the lecturers to come. It's up for you all want to work it out. So each university that does it will succeed. If you all are willing, you decide how many foreign students you want and how much you are going to charge them, that is yours.
In other updates, President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited the Punarin area yesterday and assessed the Punarin town development plan presented by the Urban Development Authority.
Moving on to other news, in a bid to prevent criminals from departing the country using forged documents, an automated facial recognition system was installed at the Bandaranaike International Airport today under the directives of the Minister of Public Security, Derana English, and the Acting Inspector General of Police, Deshabandhu Tennakoon. Speaking at the event, the Minister of Public Security, Derana English, ensured that the measure was implemented to strengthen the fight against organised crime and the influx of illicit drugs, whilst empowering police to apprehend criminals linked to such activity.
For the first time in Sri Lanka, an automated facial recognition system was installed at the Bandaranaike International Airport today to identify suspects accused of drug trafficking and other criminal activities. This initiative, enforced under the directives of Minister of Public Security Derana English and Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakoon, was set up as a part of the recently launched Yuktiya Special Operation to curb narcotics-related offences and other organised criminal activities. The new system was installed by a separate unit under the Criminal Investigation Department. The authorities will monitor the system around the clock to identify individuals wanted by law enforcement agencies. The system, powered by advanced technology and artificial intelligence, will be in place to apprehend criminals who attempt to travel abroad using forged documents, primarily to evade arrest or other drug-related criminal activity or other organised crimes.
යුක්තිය මෙහෙයුමෙන් රට පුරාම ඉන්න මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය වලට සම්බන්ධ පුද්ගලයන් පසුපස පොලිසිය ලුහු බැඳෙන අවස්ථාවල මේ වෙලාවේ රටින් පැනලා අපරාධකරුවන් කොටු කර ගැනීම සඳහා අද මේ විවෘත කරපු මේ මුහුණ හඳුනා ගැනීමේ කැමරා පද්ධතිය අපිට අතිශයින්ම පිට දවසේදී ප්‍රයෝජනවත් ප්‍රකාශ කරමි.
ඉතින් අපි දැන් මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය නැති කරලා පාතාලේ නැති කරන මේ මෙහෙයුමේ එක කොටසක් හැටියට තමයි මේ කැමරා පද්ධතිය විවෘත. ඒ මොකද අපි සියලුම දෙපාර්තමේන්තු සමාගම් එකතු වෙලා මේ වැඩේට බැස්සොත් අපිට වැඩි කල් යන්නේ මේ රට මේ අපරාධකරුවන්ගෙන් බේරගන්න. ඉතින් ඒකට මම ගන්න තියෙන දැඩි තීරණ ඕන එකක් මං ගන්න ලෑස්ති.
Staying on the topic of police, as the Yuktiya Special Police Operation continued today, a total of 1,133 arrests were made across the island. 54 suspects among the total arrestees apprehended today will be subjected to further investigation under detention orders.
Today marks the 20th day of the Yuktiya Special Operation aimed at curbing the nationwide distribution of narcotic substances. The inspection of buses, which commenced yesterday, continued through the course of the day today, including in several areas of Colombo. During an inspection of long-distance buses at the Ambathale Bodhiya in Colombo, 6 suspects who had narcotic substances in possession and 11 other suspects were apprehended. Further, 530 grams of cannabis were seized from a passenger who was travelling in a private bus which was heading towards Kalmune from Matara during an inspection of buses conducted near the Buttala Army camp. The suspect in question was placed under arrest. In the meantime, a 46-year-old woman and a 44-year-old man who had 9 grams and 450 milligrams of heroin in possession were arrested during 2 raids conducted by the Police Special Task Force in Demtagoda. In Mana, meanwhile, an individual who had 1,700 narcotic pills in possession was arrested in Thalpadu based on a tip-off received by the Police Special Task Force. Further, an individual engaged in the distribution of illicit drugs in Kalani and Kadawatha under the instructions of known criminal Ganemulla Sanjeeva was arrested at his residence yesterday. Halfway across the island in Puthukudi, Iruppu, the police were able to apprehend an individual who had a consignment of narcotics as well as 2 swords in possession. During today's inspections, in line with the Yuktiya operation, 1,133 suspects have been arrested within the past 24 hours. Further, 54 suspects out of today's arrestees are to be subjected to further investigation under detention orders.
Whilst raising concern over the recent spike in arbitrary arrests and criminal activity, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka stressed the importance of preserving the credibility and transparency of legal due process, which is the fundamental tenet of democracy and rule of law. The Bar Association also raised concerns over the demolition of property without valid search warrants during operations to combat organised crime. Noting those concerns, the BASL called upon the authorities to promptly take remedial action, hold responsible parties accountable and restore public trust in the justice system of the country.
The Executive Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka has noted a recent rise in arbitrary arrests and criminal activity. Through a statement, the Bar Association reminded all concerned parties that the legal system provides for investigation, inquiry, trial and punishment by proper authorities, which is the basis of democracy and the rule of law. The country's top professional association of attorneys also noted that the credibility and transparency of such processes must be diligently and fiercely preserved. The Bar Association underscores the utmost significance of adhering to due process and upholding the rule of law, and added that the police raids, including the demolition of properties which were carried out without valid search warrants and/or valid search orders while flagrantly violating established legal protocols, render them unlawful. The association stated that such actions undermine the bedrock principles of justice and erode public confidence in the integrity of law enforcement agencies. While highlighting that the prospect of extrajudicial killings and arbitrary arrests presents a deeply disconcerting opportunity for the abuse of power, the Bar Association said it is imperative that the authorities act in full accordance with the law, ensuring that justice is served for both the victims and those accused. Raising deep concern over the Minister of Public Security's recent remarks which implicated certain lawyers as conspirators with drug offenders, the Bar Association noted that the absence of police accountability and the grant of unchecked impunity create an environment where no individual can feel secure. They also underscored the urgent need for transparency, accountability and the protection of the rights of all individuals engaged in legal proceedings. The Bar Association called upon the authorities to promptly rectify these issues, hold the responsible parties accountable and restore public trust in the justice system.
Some good news now. The Myanmar government has agreed to intervene and facilitate the rescue of 56 Sri Lankans who are currently detained at a terrorist camp in Myanmar. According to the Sri Lankan ambassador in Myanmar, Janaka Priyantha Bandara, the agreement was reached during a special discussion held with Myanmar's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Last month, it was reported that 56 Sri Lankan nationals were being held in a terrorist camp in Myawaddy in Myanmar after falling prey to a human trafficking racket operated under the guise of an agency providing foreign employment opportunities to young Sri Lankans. The Sri Lankans detained in the terrorist camp are reported to be working as cyber slaves. Other than Myanmar, Interpol stated that scam centers which detain people and force them to work as cyber slaves also operate in Southeast Asian countries such as Cambodia, Thailand and Laos. According to the United Nations, over 120,000 people of many nationalities are being forced to work in scam centers in Myanmar alone, while similarly another 100,000 or more are held in Cambodia. Earlier, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in a statement said incidents of this nature have been reported since 2022 and the ministry, in collaboration with the Sri Lankan Embassy in Myanmar and the Myanmar government, rescued 32 citizens from time to time between 2022 and 2023. To save the lives of the 56 Sri Lankans who are currently detained by Burmese terrorists, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri recently contacted the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Myanmar and sought the assistance and urgent intervention of the government of Myanmar in ensuring the release of Sri Lankans immediately. The Foreign Minister also requested his Burmese counterpart to make every possible effort to ensure the safety and well-being of the Sri Lankan nationals who are being held hostage. Against this backdrop, the BIMSTEC ambassadors together with the Deputy Foreign Minister of Myanmar yesterday held discussions on the matter of rescuing victims of human trafficking detained within terrorist camps in Myanmar.
The Ambassador of India, the Ambassador of Bangladesh, Ambassador of Thailand and Sri Lanka. So all of us, we discussed the matter with the Honorable Deputy Minister in depth to get these victims rescued as soon as possible. India, they have 210 victims. Nepal, they have 35 victims. Thailand, they have 20 victims. So this is a common issue for us. So all of us got together to address this issue jointly. The meeting was very positive and productive. The Deputy Minister assured the intervention of Myanmar government to rescue these victims as soon as possible.
Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijayasekara said that disciplinary action will be initiated against Ceylon Electricity Board employees who were involved in the 3-day trade union strike which ended yesterday and contributed towards the disruption of services. Accordingly, directives were given in written form to the chairman of the CEB to take necessary actions pursuant to relevant legal provisions and to suspend the duties of the employees involved in the trade union strike. Issuing a letter, the CEB chair was further instructed to inform the ministry employees who failed to report for duty without prior notification and took part in the protests held over the past 3 days. Sri Lanka recorded a 57.5% increase in workers' remittances in 2023 compared to the previous year. According to the central bank, the cumulative figure for January to December 2023 has consequently seen a substantial improvement, which translates to a total sum of $5.97 billion. According to official figures, workers' remittances recorded in December 2023 were at $569.7 million as opposed to November 2023, during which time the inflows reached $537 million. HSBC Bank unveils the first Ceylon Literary and Art Festival in the cities of Kandy and Colombo, scheduled to take place from the 8th to the 12th of February this year for all fans. With that, let's take a look at news from the corporate sector today.
Transforming and elevating the country's literary and service sectors, HSBC presents the first Ceylon Literary and Art Festival in the historic cities of Kandy and Colombo. The event is scheduled to take place from the 8th to the 12th of February this year. The festival aims to showcase the island's rich cultural heritage and picturesque landscapes and re-establish Sri Lanka as a premier destination for tourists and investors. In the meantime, the Commercial Bank of Ceylon announced the customized green home loans for buyers of apartments at Capital Twin Peaks. Accordingly, Capital Towers Limited has undertaken to offer concessions of up to 40% on the prices of apartments, while Commercial Bank has agreed to offer loans at 1% lower than the published platinum rate, 50% off document charges, and discounts of up to 10% from 5 leading solar power product suppliers registered with the bank's Green Home Loans program. In other news, Kingsbury plc announced the resignation of Jan Peter van Twest from the board of directors of the company with effect from 5th of January this year. In its corporate disclosure, the company added that the resigned director did not have relevant shares as at date of his resignation.
US employees hired for more workers than expected in December while raising wages at a solid clip, casting some doubt on the financial market expectations that the Federal Reserve would start cutting interest rates in March. The economy added 71,000 fewer jobs in October and November than previously reported. All this while the unemployment rate held at 3.7% last month, following the 676,000 people who left the labor force, almost erasing all the gains in participation since February of 2023. The economy added 2.7 million jobs in 2023, a sharp step down from the 4.8 million positions created in 2022. Reflecting the cooling demand in the economy following 525 basis points worth of rate hikes from the US Central Bank since March of 2022. Employment in the sector seen as a harbinger for future hiring has declined for 11 straight months. Manufacturing jobs increased 6,000. Average hourly earnings rose 0.4% in December, matching the prior month's gain, raising the year-on-year increase in wages to 4.1% from 4% in November. That's all the news I have for you for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for more of your premier English breaking news right here on First at 9. For now, this is Jonathan Benedict wishing you a good night, a blessed weekend, and a very safe Saturday evening. Thank you.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.